in brand new remastered Technicolor.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to Two Queers.
One pod.
I'm Bridie.
I'm Imogen. And we're doing this on Zoom.
Yes, a bit unconventionally this time, or as the year's gone, quite conventionally, I suppose. But
The full 2020 experience.
indeed. So yeah, we went into lockdown, I think on the 2nd or the 3rd of November, and today is the 8th.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. How are you doing, Immi, in the whole shebang? Also, I'm just going to be fiddling with my headphones. That's better.
You know, aren't as good as can be expected. It's been bonfire night here in the UK all of this week, apparently. And
yeah, it does
like
tend to
everyone
go
else's
on.
pets hiding under the sofa.
Yeah, luckily where I live, I haven't heard it too much because there's nowhere to do fireworks around me that's super close.
True.
But I know by you've got some fields and greens and whatnot. So
No, it's just people doing it in their back gardens.
Oh, that's safe.
Yeah, it's super safe. And like it's really built up around here, so the echo is just unreal. Yeah,
Hideous.
not having a great time.
No. But if you listen to episode 3 of the podcast,
I was
Winter
listening
Brains,
to it before we started recording because I
should have done that.
Remember what we talked about because I think
Yeah.
today we're going to be talking about self-care.
Indeed. So yeah, we're kind of we covered a bit in that episode how we kind of dealt with living in lockdown and our little we came up with a few like self-care tips and tricks, but now we're going to go full in.
Yeah,
into
absolutely everything we do to keep ourselves going.
Yeah, with the kind of preface that we don't always manage it, but we try our best, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, that's what we're all about here at Two Quiz One Pod. Just doing what we can, can to survive.
Exactly.
But one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the Instagram account at Make Daisy Chains, or Hannah Daisy on Instagram, who is an occupational therapist for the NHS, but she kind of gained popularity on Instagram by doing the hashtag boring self-care, of which I have the zine.
Look at that.
To refer back to at any point if we run out of stuff to talk about. Because one of the things that she is really passionate about is that self-care has become one of these things that has been about having to like buy things and having to be all sort of aesthetically pleasing and very Pinteresty and
like treat yourself.
Yeah, bubble baths and bath bombs, and those are the only things I can ever think of with that sort of self-care. But she's just like, wiping your ass is self-care. You know, that's anything you do to care for yourself is self-care. And so she goes through things like making doctor's appointments, brushing your teeth, washing your bedding. 3 things that I really struggle with.
Me too.
And so she is like a constant reminder that those things are wins and those things are achievements.
For sure.
I had a conversation with a family member not so long ago about how they thought it was really gross that Nude deodorant were advertising that they worked for 7 days, and they were like, oh no, we can't be advocating for poor personal hygiene during a pandemic. Who doesn't shower for a week? And I was like this guy. Me.
Yeah, and it's us, and it's a lot of people that we know who also sort of struggle with that kind of basic. Well, you call it basic, but it isn't always, because it is just
a huge deal. And then if you think about anyone with any sort of like physical disabilities and things as well as mental or I suppose neurological, like the brain to body connection thing, which is my whole issue. like it's
kind of like your
once a
ableism
week
showing,
is a
Sharon.
win. Once a week is a real win for me.
Yeah.
Twice a week is my absolute peak. But yeah,
Yeah.
people that wash their hair and like shower every day, it couldn't be me.
It's also not good for your hair to shower every day.
Yeah, or your
so I hear.
skin and stuff. I mean, sure, if you're doing like hard labour and covered in mud and stuff, then sure, you know, give yourself a rinse off. But yeah, I just, you know, having a shower is a win for me, but that is my whole day.
Yeah.
That's like the only activity I can do for a day is having a shower. It's it takes a lot. It's a whole sensory experience, like a nice one.
Yes.
But a sensory onslaught with the temperatures and the textures and smells and all of that kind of stuff. And if you factor in any sort of like shaving, or in my case, like bleaching my hair, like that's a full day.
Yeah. No, it's definitely difficult, especially when, you know, in lockdown especially, there would be days on end where I barely got out of bed, and like you say, like going for a shower felt like the activity of the day. So like I would kind of put it off until either the last minute, or kind of wake up and go, oh my god, like that's the thing I can do today, and kind of like super savor it. And I remember the time earlier this year when I went to go for a shower and someone had moved out of my house and all my shower products were gone.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that just felt like I was like, it literally took me like 45 minutes to psych myself up to go for a shower, and then disappointment, but it was fine. And like in the house that I'm living in now, the shower's on like the very bottom floor and I'm right in the attic. So sometimes if I'm not feeling very great, it just feels like such a task to like get up and like go all the way downstairs. And it's just, but some days I just go, oh, I need a shower, and then I just go, and it's really but it is definitely, it does feel like one of those kind of basic self-care things, but it actually is difficult to always remember to do, even though it's technically free, as in you don't have to buy anything to go and have a shower. Yeah,
provided that, you know, you live in a house and you have a shower. And like I know loads of people that live in flats and stuff that don't have a shower. Like I know loads of people that have baths but no shower in their house, and I'm like, who are these landlords?
Yeah,
who
ridiculous.
Who are these landlords? Like our shower's been, my house has just had persistent leaks for like well over a year now, and our shower is absolutely on the brink of collapse, and I truly don't know what any of us are going to do when that goes. So I have to have the plumbers in this week to try and get them to sort that out, because that's been an issue since like last November, because rented accommodation. Woo!
Yes.
But yeah, so like showering is a big deal. It's basically just
shower chat.
the underlying thing for me is that, and anyone that says otherwise is wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong, and they also it's just kind of a clear indication of not fully understanding certain mental health and physical health issues, like mental health being like depression and things. It literally stops you moving a lot of the time.
And I think like with a lot of these things, when I come up against people with these sorts of opinions, like at first I'm frustrated, but then my like better angels swoop in and they're just like, I'm really glad that you don't understand, that you don't have first-hand experience of this, or that no one super close to you has first-hand experience of how, yes, things that may come under the umbrella of basic self-care, like showering, any kind of washing, brushing your teeth, eating 3 meals a day, drinking enough water, changing your bedding, all of these things. Like, I'm really pleased for you if these aren't issues.
Yeah.
Like that's great. Unfortunately, your experience is not universal. And then you think about like, people that live in any sort of like marginalised life and poverty and that sort of stuff, then access to running water, access to a home, and you know, like if you really like go into it, then actually the amount of people that have the ability to like shower every day, or I've known people that shower like twice a day sometimes, and I'm like, really? Like they can't be.
I just don't know where they find the time. I mean, I know they're all kind of, you know,
it's gym people.
half an hour tasks.
Gym people.
Yeah. But I don't know, I feel like with a lot of that stuff, it kind of, there's a lot of time that it takes to kind of psych yourself up to do these things. And you know, sometimes you don't manage to do it, and that's still okay. But and then I think another element of self-care in that part is to, if you wake up and you just can't go for a shower, even though you might have planned to the night before, and you physically can't do it, I think the next step is more like mental self-care, and kind of just talking to yourself and just letting yourself know that, like, that's fine, we'll try again later. Because I think it's really easy to fall into patterns where if you don't
it's really hard to give. It's really easy to give yourself a hard time if you don't live up to these self-imposed limitations or these expectations and things. And it's really important to go easy on yourself and be like, yeah, we'll try this again later. And, you know, it's not the end of the world. And also, I think sometimes if I have planned to have a shower or something on a day and that's beyond me, that's almost like at points that's been like my whole day ruined. So like, oh, that means I can't do anything. I'm a piece of shit. Spiral. Yeah.
And that was kind of my point, is that, like, it just goes, you kind of make things worse for yourself by then getting down. But it's and then that, like you say, just it creates a spiral effect.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so I can't do that today. What can I do? Can I wash my face? Can I brush my teeth? Are all of these things out of the window? Can I have a glass of water? Like, sort of going smaller and smaller and smaller until you find something that you can do, and then that helps for just general sense of self and like, oh well, I did achieve something. I had a glass of water, a cup of tea, a piece of toast, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's building yourself back up, which is why narratives around general laziness and stuff like that, I think, are just generally super unhelpful. Because no one who believes that they're really lazy and like worthless and a piece of shit that's never made anything easier for anyone.
No.
And so maintaining these narratives around people with like no motivation, being worthless or whatever, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. If you tell someone that they're a piece of shit and they're worthless and they're lazy and disgusting for not showering every day, then...
it's kind of like relative to what though, you know?
Yeah, so, for sure.
Everyone just needs to keep their opinions to themselves. But
that's not how the internet works. We're here with a podcast where we are distinctly not keeping our opinions to ourselves.
But we have nicer ones.
Ours are friendlier and ever so slightly less judgmental. Ever so slightly.
Yeah, so I've written down to kind of compare what self-care was when I was younger, or what I assumed that to be, versus what I would say it was now. And I think the term like self-care wasn't really a thing. It's more of like I think it's come with kind of the Instagram part of the world. But I think looking after yourself is the kind of, you know, that's just the phrase that we would have grown up with. And to me, I was kind of raised with the impression that kind of eat well and exercise, that's all you have to do.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be, well, kind of, but like I don't really like to exercise and I'm not always super great with my eating. So my point was that But if that was all it was, because my bugbear with that is you get told that is all that it is. Yeah.
And then you finally get into a place where you are really working hard at those sorts of things. And then you still feel like shit. And you're like, it was a scam. It was a scam.
That's like the worst revelation.
It's like me in fucking yoga and mindfulness and meditation and stuff. Like every doctor I've had for the past 15 years has said like, oh yeah, well, I mean, maybe not 15 years. Doctors haven't been recommending it for that long. But as soon as doctors got on to the whole yoga mindfulness thing, people have been telling me to do it. And I'm like, I do.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm still autistic. I'm still depressed. I'm still anxious. I've still got fucking PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't solved anything. And that is a bit shit. And important caveat, dear listener, if these things have worked for you, I'm really happy for you. Genuinely, I'm so pleased that they've worked for you. I need you to understand they don't necessarily work for everyone.
No, I know that's a massive frustration of yours is whenever you, especially for some reason, it's you. I don't know if it's like the people that follow you on social media or something, but you always, whenever you kind of speak out about mental health, especially when you have some kind of part about medication, you've always got someone in your messages being like, have you tried yoga? And it's just like,
have you tried yoga?
I'm gonna need you to stop.
Vitamin D, which it's one of those things, I always want them to mean dick.
Yeah.
Because that would be so much funnier. Like, it's the only time when unsolicited, like, sexual advances would be better than what they actually are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just my thing. But yeah, going back to your like diet and exercise thing, I do think, again, there's a lot to be said for them. You know, making sure you're getting like sufficient nutrients and moving your body and all of that kind of stuff. However, it doesn't fix everything.
No.
And also, if you're in the pits of a fucking like depression spiral or at the height of an anxiety attack, neither one of those things is going to help.
No,
and you're
exactly.
not going to be in a fit state to access either of them anyway.
Exactly. And especially like this time of year, like, so I work until 5 o'clock and then it's dark. I'm not going to be bloody doing, you know, keep fit classes in my bedroom because of I've got housemates. I can't go to the gym because it's lockdown. I don't run. So it's like, what?
And it wouldn't be safe to run, not at the moment.
What do you want me to do? And also, like, with regards to the kind of healthy eating thing. So yeah, I kind of struggle with maintaining a healthy, especially under like great moments of stress. It hasn't been diagnosed, but it is like a disordered eating thing that I have. So it is difficult for me to maintain like a 3 meals a day kind of balanced thing. Still working on that, but what's really changed for me this year is that, and I think it was something that we had a conversation over lockdown 1, which was where I was just being like, because when I get stressed, I sort of overeat and I get quite like, I guess, obsessive about it. And I think I reached out to you about it and you basically said like, you're feeding yourself and you're keeping yourself going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And although in your mind, you might see it as unhealthy or, you know, you've got all the brain gremlins doing their thing. I think acknowledging that although it's not a pattern that I'm necessarily happy with, I am still kind of giving myself energy and like that was really, really helpful. But yeah, and some I feel like if I'm not doing like what I would consider the kind of perfect amount of exercise and having a balanced diet, and I feel like shit, I'm always just like, oh well, maybe if you did do those things, it might. But then I do, and then it doesn't.
And I think what's particularly difficult, and this is something that I've talked to my mum about a fair bit recently, because it's not necessarily super obvious if you're not impacted by it, but all narratives around healthy eating and exercise are based around weight loss. Mm-hmm. They aren't based on actual good health, about how to keep yourself mentally in like a good place, physically in, you know, whatever a good place is for you. Mm-hmm. It all comes back to weight loss, and that immediately is massively fucking triggering.
Yeah.
So I just don't go anywhere near any of it.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, I had a really massive interest in nutrition. Mm-hmm. Like I thought it was really interesting. Like I loved learning about like what different vitamins did in the body and like micronutrients and all of these sorts of things. But then I became a teenager and developed all sorts of unhealthy relationships with food. And now I have to be really careful about how much I think about it or look into it and stuff. And food is definitely one of my like hashtag special interests, but I have to be so careful with it. And it's the same with yoga and stuff, like yoga, Pilates, all of these things. Like I do enjoy them, but I have to be really careful with how much I do them and how much I engage with them because of all of the narrative around quote unquote health.
Yeah.
Which isn't about health. It's about weight loss.
Yeah.
And or weight maintenance and like that kind of stuff. And also there's this whole thing, which is that you don't have to be healthy to be worthy.
Yeah.
Like even if and that's something that I've had
really hard to like get that into you.
Really brutally come to terms with.
Yeah.
Because I have been like coming to terms with the whole being disabled thing and not feeling like half a person because of being disabled, and then within that learning that I believe that people have inherent value whether or not they are healthy, whether or not they are contributing in a financial way to society. And I know I banged on about that in episode 3. But it's a really
It's
huge,
useful though.
It's a really huge thing that, like, so many of these things that are about how to keep you feeling as good as you can have these flip sides. And so you can be going into something with all the best intentions about how to keep yourself feeling as okay as you can. But it's really hard to not fall down these rabbit holes of like guilt and shame and societal pressures and beauty standards and all of these things. And so it's like, yes, in an ideal world, we would all eat what our bodies need and what we enjoy. And we would do like joyful movement that like keeps the bits of our bodies moving that need to for health reasons and all of that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, that's not the way we're taught about things. We're taught about like calorie counting and, you know, not to eat carbs. And then the things that none of these things stay consistent in the narrative for a long period of time either. Like in both of our lifetimes, we've both had family members that have been into like dieting and stuff, and they're never consistent. I remember one that a family member that of mine did where she wasn't allowed to eat fruit, and I just
it's the sugar.
Yeah, and I just remember being like, no, whatever it is, it can't be bad to eat fruit. Like that can't be bad for you.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know.
But yeah, you know, leading into that. So yeah, my grandmother throughout her whole life not refused, but like didn't eat meals if she ordered like a jacket potato and it came with butter on it, she wouldn't eat it. Didn't want gravy on anything. Like I thought it was because she didn't like food being like wet. But it was actually
relatable.
Yeah, but it was actually like she had been told that all these like kind of extras that you put onto food are useless. So she just avoided them all her life. And she did pass away earlier this year, but the week that she died, when she was eating in the hospital, she literally drank gravy out of a mug, you know, and we were all just there, just like, that was me doing a very like, I don't know how you describe that, like, face.
Just cute face.
For the non-Patreon subscribers who won't get to see it. But no, and that kind of just made me go like, wow, okay, well, if someone who, you know, has refused their entire 75 years of life, and then they know that they're on their way out, and then they're just like, give me all the gravy and butter. I mean, that just kind of...
you know, some people, it would be like hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
Your grandmother, butter and gravy.
Exactly.
And quite frankly, I'm fully on board with that.
Yeah.
Did you listen to one of the most recent episodes of Off Menu with the woman that started Oaxaca?
Thomasina Myers, I did.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
She had a soapbox to stand on about butter, and I want everyone to hear it.
Yeah, everyone go and listen, because it was just so much
butter is
support.
Good for you.
Yeah.
There are important fats and oils and acids, and it's a great time. It's a great time. I love her, and I've never been to Oaxaca.
I have.
And I desperately want to now. Bloody love Mexican food.
Delicious. Me and my friend Phoebe went.
Oh, yeah.
Year before last or last year, can't remember. But it was amazing. I remember I had some kind of like plantain taco thing and like a tequila drink, but it was fantastic. Really, really recommend. While you were talking about your kind of, when you're online and you're getting kind of bombarded with, you know, weight loss and exercise targeted ads.
Oh yeah, that's another bugbear of mine, isn't it?
Ugh. And the thing is, every time I'm like, but why are you targeting me? I am not like... Anyway, that's another story.
It's our demographic.
Yeah,
and that makes me fucking angry.
It's like, well, I always see them and I'm like, you can try, but I'm not going to fall for it this time, bitch. And they're just like... Swipe.
Oh, but lockdown 1, you know, if we want to get real, I fucking did.
Yeah, me too.
And like I've struggled with disordered eating and stuff like that for a long, long time. And I really did think that I was on the way out of that kind of stuff, and like changing the narratives in my head and things like that.
I think there's a way to trick yourself that you're not, when you download your like MyFitnessPal app and you're like, but I'm not, it's not disordered eating. I'm just keeping track. And that just allows it to kind of snowball.
It absolutely does. The one I got was Noom, because it was like, it's not a diet. And I was just like, interesting. And it fucking got me for like the trial period or whatever. But then it's something like £150. And fortunately, £150 got me to go, oh, no.
Yeah.
If we're going to sabotage our mental health, we're going to do it for free. Thank you very much. I'm not spending £150. Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so cross. It really makes me angry.
But I still get them. Like, even though I signed up to it, I still get the same adverts, like, multiple times in every YouTube video.
Did you know, though, that I read recently that, or heard it on her podcast, Jamila Jamil was involved in... So for younger children, I assume they work it out because you have to put in your age when you sign up for these social media platforms. But she passed some kind of legislation where these kids won't have the targeted ads on their pages, which I think is so great.
Yeah, that's really great. It's like they stopped, I mean, this is kind of like the flip side of it, but like they stopped advertising fast food and diet apps on TV during kids programs when we were younger.
Oh yeah.
But then I remember a guy that I dated a couple of years ago, and it was sort of the beginning of the end when we had this conversation. But we were watching like Jurassic World on TV on like a Sunday afternoon, and it was really nice. And we were just sat there with his housemates. I was doing some embroidery. It felt very wholesome. And then there was an ad break, and there was there's like that fat bindy drug thing that you can buy from Superdrug. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
But it's got like a green and orange label. There was one of those. There was a Slim Fast advert, and there was the WW like new Weight Watchers rebranded advert, and this was like 3:30 on a Sunday, and I was like, this is family viewing time, this is fucking disgusting, absolutely. And I turned to him and I was just like, this is fucking disgusting, don't you think? And he honestly had no idea what I was on about. And even when I explained it, he was like, and why is that a bad thing? And I was like,
for me that can be really scary when you go to speak to someone about it and it just doesn't not compute, but it just doesn't like get into them as much as you, or it's just, it makes me go kind of.
He was very much like a food for fuel type person anyway.
Okay.
And so, but then he was quite concerned with his body image, and so it was that kind of thing where I was just like, no, this is about you, because you are living proof that these things work.
Right. Yeah.
And like, you go to the gym like multiple times a day for these reasons, and you get worried when you can't fit into your jeans and all of these things that are super normal, but are products of this like fat phobic and scary ableist Eurocentric beauty standards and body standards and stuff, and it's all bollocks.
Yeah. Go
to the gym if it makes you feel good, not because you want to look a certain way.
Yeah. I think realizing that is probably one of my ultimate sort of self-care tips, is if you can just, and I feel like some element of exposing yourself to it is involved, but if you can manage to kind of really get into like, we pay for this industry to survive because of our insecurities, and just kind of go, actually, no, I don't subscribe to that. I think that's one of the best things you can do for yourself. And it does take time, and you realise which elements of yourself it affects, and you have to kind of work on them and chip at them one by one. But that, this is another element of self-care, which is setting boundaries. Woo! And that can be done in loads of different types of ways, be it, like we've just said, kind of blocking out or trying your best to block out these kind of societal pressures, whether that's with like friends or family members that don't make you very happy, or partners as well, or employers, people in general, and just kind of setting, even if no one's pissed you off,
and streamlining like social media as well.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
That's the stuff that we consume, and not even just social media, but like print media. So like I stopped buying certain magazines, even though I am a magazine hoarder in a very big way. I have magazines going back to like
out your ears.
2007. I do books and magazines, absolutely my kryptonite. But streamlining what information you put into yourself, and like the slant and the spin that it's coming from
Yeah.
is really important. And so people will say that it's a social media generation, but I have physical evidence with me today that, you know, this has been going on since the 50s.
Yeah, the people that are telling us that had something to do with the fact that social media exists now.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm sorry, we didn't build it. Like, we didn't make this. I mean, I can't say that now because now we're both, you know, in our mid-20s. So probably one of our peers made something. Yeah. But for the younger people to kind of blame them. And also, it's that whole thing of stop being in your phone so much, but you don't want to look up and look around at the world right now because it's a fucking mess. So leave everyone alone. You know, it's not a crisis. It's just, you know, in some areas it might be a crisis, but not for everyone. And that's what we were talking about yesterday when I was kind of saying to you, like, I feel like I'm spending too much time on my phone, but all my friends are in my phone. And that's just an unfortunate kind of weighing thing, especially for this year. Like, I feel like we've had to learn more about and practice self-care more this year than any previous that I've experienced.
Yeah, there's had to be a massive increase in education around these things. Obviously, like people with disabilities and people like Hannah Daisy that I was talking about at the beginning, like occupational therapists and people that work in this area have been shouting from the rooftops for years trying to be taken seriously, where people have been like namby-pamby, wishy-washy, what is this self-care bullshit?
It's because, and do you know what? It's because these people, I assume, were just too damn busy to kind of stop and go, fuck, I actually could benefit from just having that little pat on the shoulder for just doing the thing.
Yeah, now everyone has to do it. Everyone has to be looking after themselves and finding the ways to keep themselves ticking over that aren't their daily kind of grinding routine that doesn't give you enough space to think.
Yeah.
But boundaries are super important. And like I think that's something that we've both worked on an awful lot since being friends with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like necessarily with each other, but with other people in our external lives.
For sure.
And it's really hard to set boundaries with people that you care about, but it's something that I think we've both learned a little bit more about how to do and about how to ask people to like not talk to you like that or not talk about certain things when you're around, or like that you don't have to be constantly available for people. And I think that's a massive thing with the increase of technology and communication and stuff, is that we do all feel like we have to be at the beck and call of everyone all of the time. And that's really hard, feeling like you do have to be available for people. Because I've got a big thing about like, if I say to someone, well, you know where I am, I'm always there, like always there for you sort of thing, I have to fucking mean it. Like, but then that means that I don't. And we were talking about this with a friend the other day about how if you really love someone, it's really hard to hold those lines.
Yeah.
And so someone could phone you at 4 a.m. and even though they've really like burned their bridges with you or something, there's still like that compassionate, soft and mushy core that goes, I still want you to be okay. Yeah,
no, exactly.
I need you to be all right, and I can't be the one that's responsible for you not being all right. And that's a huge thing, particularly with communities that have prominent mental health problems and stuff, is learning what to take responsibility for and what to not take responsibility for, and that other people's actions are on them.
Yeah.
Not on us, but then our way of dealing with those things is on us. And that's a really hard line to hold.
It's really difficult. And I think also kind of coming out of school and making new sort of friendships and stuff as adults can be quite challenging because, and it's one of those things where you kind of have to come with all this kind of, not baggage, but I guess baggage and history about yourself and your like sort of past friendships and things. And I think when you and I became friends, it felt like such an easy kind of process. Whereas when I had come out of school, went to uni for a bit, dossed around for a bit, I found it really difficult to make like solid friendships just because, I don't know, I know it's more of like a anxiety thing, I guess, where I've always felt a little bit like on the edge of stuff. But that's more that I keep myself on the edge. But I also at the same time feel like I'm not being pushed out. Anyway, you get it. But yeah, and I think that
when you're an adult, you stop being able to make friends purely due to proximity.
For sure.
And even in a workplace, you don't necessarily have the immediate common factors that you do in school of age and interests and, families. Like, you all live at home with your family, or generally you all live at home with your family, and you're all doing the same lessons, and so your day-to-day stuff is kind of the same. But then every step outside of that, you lose more and more of those things that bind you. And so the people that you choose to spend time with, you really actively have to choose to spend time with them, and you have to actively like them. And that was a huge thing for lockdown and all of this year, really. Certainly for me, because I don't have a job to go out to, so I really stuck to the lockdown rules more than most people, because I didn't feel like I kind of had any excuse not to, because I didn't have a job to go to. And so anyone that I chose to meet, like, there was this weighted risk attached to it. And so it really limited the people that I spent time with, and like the people that I spent time with, it really felt like they had to be fucking worth it. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
That's you, baby.
Thank you.
But yeah, and it's so, and I find, and also it has to be people with similar priorities, because we've had such massive like political moments this year.
For sure.
We've all kind of been a bit under a microscope in regards to our priorities and our politics and stuff. And so it's been a good time to cut people out in a way, if obviously our things don't align, because, if people are talking about how vulnerable people just need to like stay in their houses so we can all get back on with our lives, then I'm like, oh, immediately, absolutely don't want anything to do with you. And other people, it's been easier to just be like, no, I'm staying inside. I'm not gonna see you. And that's being an adult, I think, is you have to make these active decisions on who you have relationships with, and that is both freeing and quite a big responsibility, because then you still have to go out of your way to find the right people. And that's something that we did last year. We put ourselves out there and dabbled in the Bristol gay scene, and that was fucking wonderful. Yeah,
that was wonderful. And I hope that they're all having amazing days, and I just can't wait to, hopefully in the probably far future, but have that back at some point, because that was really lovely, because we kind of, where we're from, we kind of feel like there isn't much of a, I suppose, scene for us here. But that's more just standard of a kind of small town, I feel, rather than like a big city where it's just got more space for these kind of, to hold these things. Part of the whole setting boundaries as self-care thing as well. So I think us and our friend Lana, as a three, we've kind of established this thing where we'll make a plan, and if, one of us can't make that plan, or two of us, or it's learning to like it's just learning to be like, oh, that's absolutely fine. And it's not even learning, I think that just comes from the kind of person that you are, and not being like super sort of mad or disappointed by these kind of,
not taking it
what
personally.
I would consider, not taking it personally is exactly it. And I think it's really important to have, especially when you've got kind of an anxious brain or a depressed brain, or like, I'm avoiding the word like unreliable, because it's not what it is.
I know what you mean,
it kind of, in a nice way, unreliable.
A sensitive brain.
But exactly. And just not having that kind of, being able to make plans, but if it has to be rearranged, just going like, that's fine, we can rearrange.
But also, like, if that's something that really bothers you, then communicating with your friends that, like, if you do need to cancel plans with me, I would really appreciate it if you gave me like at least an hour's notice, or 2 hours notice, or whatever, because that will mean that I have enough time to rearrange myself and like my day. And so it doesn't mean that I kind of lose a day, in a sense, from not being able to do stuff. And I am terrible for last minute cancellations, because sometimes I will just get to the door and my brain and my body will just go, no. And like,
you tried.
Yeah. And like, I have to be very upfront about that with people, because I know how disappointing that is. And so we collectively have come to an understanding that we give as much notice as we can. We apologise if we can't give as much notice as we would like to. But generally speaking, we all know that it's not anything that we should take personally.
Exactly.
None of us are avoiding each other. None of us are, you know, talking shit behind the other's back. And it's unlearning all of that school shit, quite frankly. Because people are like that when they're kids, because we're all
where we have nothing else to do. We didn't have tablets. So we just started.
Yeah, I wonder if kids are nicer to each other now.
I don't know.
I wonder.
So a part of the whole, and I know what I just said about kids always being in their phones and like leave them alone, but part of that kind of makes me nervous because I just don't feel like we had the same like exposure to, oh God, knocking all of my pens. Exposure to like technology growing up, and I'm a little bit like, have you got like a robot brain? And it's that. But that's a whole other story.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of maybe messed with us sufficiently. So I do wonder about younger people. But anyway, like you say, that's a whole other kettle of fish. So yeah, self-care that we have is...
Yeah, we haven't talked anything about like cosmetic self-care. But we also do a lot of that. But
it's been like showering if you can, brushing your teeth, washing your face, washing your hands. Do wash your hands though. We're in a pandemic.
Have we? Yeah.
Do keep washing your hands.
If you take anything
Please,
from this
for
year,
the love of God, keep washing your hands. The rest of you couldn't give a fuck, mate. But like, please wash your hands.
And may I suggest some dry shampoo if you can't make it to the shower.
Dry shampoo. I'm still trying to look for an unscented.
This was like 80p, and I'm sure it's not good.
Which one is it?
It's Lidl.
Oh.
But we recently...
nice?
What is it? California Breeze. I haven't been to California, but I am assuming that's correct.
Yeah, obviously.
My friend came over for Halloween before lockdown and used this, but to make her hair look like Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
So I maybe not recommend this brand, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm still looking for an unscented and like an aerosol one. So if anyone has any recommendations, do let us know at 2quiz1pod on Instagram. Any of your hacks for self-care or lack thereof.
Just talcum powder, bit of talc, slap it on.
Yeah, but I have really dark roots, and so that does look like dandruff almost immediately. Not that there's anything wrong with dandruff, but just it's not something that I would choose to add to my head.
Yes.
So shower if you can, wash what bits of you can, but do wash your hands. Eat as varied and as nutritious a diet as you can manage, but don't stress about it if you can't.
Yeah.
Do a bit of moving around if you can, but also don't stress about it if you can't. Set some good boundaries with people in your life. It's really hard. It absolutely sucks to do it. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
That's our top 4
I was not.
And then fifth one was dry shampoo. Fifth one's dry shampoo. Sorted. Top 5 self-care tips. Bridie and Imogen. Sorted.
Oh yeah. Made it. Cool. That was
Lifestyle gurus. Here we come.
And if you would like us to do one about cosmetic self-care, we probably can talk for an hour about that as well. So do let us know.
Absolutely.
I have a lot to say about face masks.
Oh yeah,
as I once worked in a spa back in the day. May interest you, may not. But I know some shit about face masks.
And that's another one, hashtag special interests, because autism. So I know a shit ton about that. And then we could get into crystals.
Oh my God, amazing.
We can go full Pinterest on this.
Yeah.
If you would like that. But also, if you don't care, we might do it anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't care, skip that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Amazing.
I also recommend looking at Make Daisy Chains on Instagram because her art and everything that she does is incredibly life affirming, and her cat is super cute, and she has foxes in her garden. And,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I have an idea. So it was my turn to come up with the question of the week this week, and I didn't because I'm useless. No, I'm not. I'm great. But I think it might be cool if instead we share like a few Instagram accounts that we
Yeah,
like, and
that's
I like
nice
a
idea.
little bit about why we like them. So you just mentioned Hannah at Make Daisy Chains. Someone I really like is at Millie Keeps Going. Millie with a Y, I'm pretty sure.
We'll put all of these in the episode
We
description.
will, yeah. I will double check. But actually, she posted something even last week that was kind of we already had the idea to do self-care this episode, but it kind of, I sent it to Immi and it was just more about that kind of boring self-care and personal hygiene and stuff. And she's just one of those people on the internet that is very kind of candid and honest, and really important when you're kind of filtering out what you're exposed to on, especially Instagram. I think filtering in those kind of accounts is really good, just because it kind of takes away that, you know, rose tinted lens of Instagram and how everything's perfect, because it kind of just shows a much more like honest account of living with mental health issues.
I might go at Anastasia.Tasau, the illustrator and artist that we both love. And one day I would love to interview her and get her on here. That would be incredible. I did one of her workshops a couple of weeks ago, and she's just such a babe. But she does kind of doodly artwork that is very like sensitive and a bit is very honest about messy feelings. And even though, like, because I know that she's in a relationship and stuff, but she'll still talk about like heartbreak and stuff like that, and she's not shy to talk about messy feelings and difficult feelings and having a bad day. And there's nothing really like dramatic about it. It's all very calm, and it makes me feel very like seen and understood, and very much like not alone.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff about kind of like noticing nice things in nature that I find really helpful.
Yeah. I really love her work. I think you introduced me to her, but she's wonderful. Yeah, and it's just one of those ones where you're like, oh, I want a print of this to have on my like under my eyelids. Cool. So we have been 2 Queers,
1 Pod.
Thank you very much for listening. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we are at 2 Queers 1 Pod, and we are also on Patreon.
If you want to watch the Zoom conversation that this episode was, and any future videos, that's on our...
Immi's even put up a backdrop, so I would really suggest you do that.
This is my therapy Zoom setup. It's a deer.
Amazing. Oh yeah, I only just noticed that.
It makes me look like I've got ears.
It's very sweet.
So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Please send us any tips, tricks, hacks and whatnot that you use for self-care, and we'll compile them into a nice little doodly thing.
And do let us know if you've thought of anything that we've said is helpful, because that would be good to know.
That would be nice. You know,
just validate us, please.
Let us know if we're on the right track. Let us know if we're talking bollocks. That's absolutely fine.
That's the one. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Love you lots. Bye.
This podcast was produced by Harry Williams.